Hello, and welcome to another engaging episode of Talking Tech. I'm Dan Hunter, and it's a pleasure to be your host for today's episode. Today, we'll be taking an insightful journey into the VA Health and Benefits mobile app, OIT's cutting-edge digital platform that provides veterans with secure and convenient access to their VA services. Joining our conversation today is our distinguished guest, Mr. Chris Johnston, Deputy Chief Technology Officer, Digital Experience for the Office of the Chief Technology Officer in the Office of Information and Technology. Remember, Talking Tech is more than just a broadcast, it's a dialogue. At the end of today's episode, we'll invite you to participate in our interactive Q&A session. Feel free to post your questions in the comments section for a chance to have them answered live. With that introduction, I'm delighted to welcome Mr. Chris Johnston to the discussion. It's a pleasure to have you together with us, sir. Can you briefly describe your role with the department?
Good afternoon, Dan. It's great to be here. Thanks so much for having me back. It's great to see you again. My role is Deputy CTO. I lead the efforts and the team that build most of VA's digital experiences, and those are represented largely in va.gov website and in the VA mobile app, which we're going to talk about today.
Awesome. Well, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to do this for us. Can you talk to us and tell us a little bit about what is the Health and Benefits app?
Yeah, I'd love to. So the VA Health and Benefits app is relatively new in the grand scheme of things. It launched a little bit over 2 years ago, and at its essence, it's a tool to provide an easy and streamlined and secure way for veterans to conduct the most common transactions that they need to do with VA in their pocket, wherever, whenever they are, with quick and easy access.
Wow, that sounds like a lot. Can you show us a little bit about what it is, how it works, what a veteran can gain from using the VA mobile app?
I can do that. And thank you so much for the question. I think a lot of times these conversations end up being um, you know, theoretical conversations about the list of features, and we can certainly talk about that. But to my mind, it's much more powerful to show it. So if you don't mind, let's just jump in and I'll give a little bit of a demo about how you get the app, how you use the app, and what the capabilities are. How's that sound?
Greatly appreciated. And as a veteran myself, first I want to thank you so much for what you're doing to help make life easier for us. We greatly appreciate it across the entire veteran spectrum. So thank you so much for what you do in advance.
We are here for the mission. All right. I'm going to start. I'm on an iPhone. The app works on both iPhones and Android phones. I'm going to start in the iPhone store just to show how you can get there. I did a simple search for VA, and once you get past the ad, the VA Health and Benefits app is the first item on top. And with all apps, you get some screenshots showing you what it is. You get the ratings. You can see that 112,000 people have rated this a 4.8 rating. I'm told that's about as good as TikTok, so I think we're in pretty good company there. And I'm just going to jump right over to the app itself because I already have it up and running here. Couple things worth noting before I jump in. I'm using the app in a demonstration mode. I'm not using a live account, so some of the things in here will be a little bit limited because it's not a real veteran with real data. I think it's evident that I'm not Kimberly Washington, and so hopefully, as people are seeing that, they'll they'll remember that we're looking at a demo. We spoke a little bit over a year ago, I think, Dan, and I had done a similar kind of thing. So I'm going to go through a lot of the app again, and I'll highlight some of the things that are new since the last time that we came here. The So one of the new things right from the start is this launch screen that we're looking at here. So we've redesigned the navigation a little bit to make it a little bit more streamlined. So you can see that very front and center, the first thing that I get to are some easy utilities, right? How to find a VA location, how to contact VA. If I'm feeling in crisis and I want to talk to somebody, big red banner at the top tells you how to get to the Veterans Crisis Line. One of the other new things right up front here is this proof of veteran status. I'm going to click on that. It's right under the name and branch I was in here. And this is one-touch access. This is as soon as you're in the app, you click on this, and it gives you the basic information needed to demonstrate to somebody that you are a veteran, as defined by the Department of Veterans Affairs. So it shows your name and your branch. It shows your rating if you have one. Shows your different branches of service and your serve dates and your date of birth if you need your age here as well. And this is really useful. Particularly for veterans who are going to retailers or service providers or restaurants who offer benefits or discounts to veterans. It's a really quick and easy way to demonstrate that you are a veteran, right? In front of the app. So that's a brand new feature that we released earlier this year. I'm going to go through the entirety of the app. In the top right here, you see the profile. That's where we're going to start. And in the bottom, there are tabs for the main categories of features, and I'll go through those next. The profile is what you would expect from any app or website from the private sector that you're working with. It's stuff about me, so I can look at my personal information, my date of birth, the name I prefer to be used at if I'm going to an appointment. Gender identity is an important thing there for healthcare reasons. I can update my contact information directly in the app. So my mailing address, if I have a different address for mailing and home, I can add my phone numbers and my email address in here. And this changes across a number of VA databases. So if I change it here in the app, it changes almost everywhere at VA. I have a screen here where I can see military information, so a little bit more detail about where and when I served, which is useful for some folks. We'll be building out some new features on that pretty soon as well. And then finally, some basic settings, managing the account. If you want to use Face ID to log in, that's one thing worth pointing out. One of the great things about the app is that it does use biometric login. So once I've logged in, all I need to do is use my thumb or point it at my face, and I'm right in the app. I don't need to go through the login process, remember my name and password, go through the multi-factor authentication, and that's good for 45 days. I'm sorry, I cut you off, Dan. It sounded like you wanted to ask a question.
No, so any change that a veteran would make in that one profile page with, say, for example, you get a new phone, you get a new phone number. If the veteran changes their phone number there, does that number change across all the veteran platforms so that everybody would have it, a provider would have that information,
Exactly.
Benefits folks would have it?
That's exactly right. There are a few specific cases where it doesn't change. For example, I think certain medications, particularly opioids, need to have a special process to update a mailing address for that. But by and large, the vast majority of places that need your information, if they want to send you an email or they want to send you a letter or a phone call, updating it here will update it in all those places.
Thank you for sharing that. Greatly appreciate it.
All right, let me jump into some of the other details here. So I'm going to go across the tabs at the bottom of the screen here. The first one I'm going to tap into is benefits. Handful of things that are super useful here. I'm going to go in sort of a random order here. I'm going to start with the letters and documents. This is one of the most used features on the app. In fact, I think it's used more on the app than it is on the web. There aren't a lot of features that are like that now. This is the ability for a veteran to download one of the benefit letters that they've received from VA. So once I confirm my mailing address, I can go and I can see the 8 or so different letters that I have access to. Your service letter, your prescription drug letter. One of the most common ones is this benefit summary letter. So I can tap in there, and what's cool is that I can scroll down here. It shows me what my military information is, and then it lets me decide what information I want to actually include in the letter, right? So if I'm trying to show proof of income, I would want to include my monthly payment from my disability rating, for example, right? And so once I have all this, I can say review letter. I get an actual rendering of the letter here on the page. I could just show this on my phone directly. I could save it as a document to my phone. I could email it to myself or email it to somebody else. And so this is super useful capability in letters. I'm going to talk about decision letters in a moment when I talk about claims. All right, so there's the letters feature. Let me go back to benefits. Next, let me talk a little bit about the disability rating. Obviously, one of the main benefits that veterans get from working with VA is compensation for disability from a service-connected injury or illness. And then this shows you what your disability rating is and it shows you all the individual components that make up that rating, right? And so a lot of veterans spend some time trying to figure out how to maximize that rating because that maximizes their income so they can see what they were currently rated at, and if a condition has gotten worse, and they know that they can go back and have a review and do a supplemental claim on that particular item. And then the big thing, of course, is claims and claim status. So I can see all of my claims in the app as well. These are disability compensation claims. So I can start with my claims history. So this shows me all my both past claims and my active claims. I'm going to start with past claims because this is really interesting. You'll see one of the new things here is this decision letter available. And this was something that was added this year where I can see that I've got my claim decision. As soon as that claim is decided, I can see that in the app, and I can click in here to actually get the decision rating letter and the notification letter. The reason that this is so important is because until we added this to the app would previously tell veterans that they had the decision, but we weren't allowed to show the letter, and they had to wait for the letter to be printed, bulk mailed, sent in the mail, and delivered. And that could be as much as 10 days. And that's a pretty long period of anxiety for veterans to wait between knowing that there's a decision and knowing that decision is. And so now I can click in here and I can actually see the decision letter the day or maybe the day after the decision is rendered. So really speeding up the process for veterans a lot. So that's looking at past claims. You can also look at active claims. So these are claims that I currently have in process. They could be claims, or they could be appeals. So this is showing everything that I have in process. I'm going to click in this random one as we're looking in the details here, right? I can see that I've got a few steps here. It's under initial review. It's gathering some evidence. I can click on a detail screen and see a little bit more detail about what I've claimed, when it was received. One of the really interesting things here is you can see that up top, it says there's a file request from VA. And if I scroll down, step 3, it's gathering evidence, and there's a request for a file for some document that's required of the veteran. And this is where having this on an app on your phone is super helpful, right? So I look at the file requests. I can see that there were 5 items requested. 3 of them are still outstanding. I can click on one of these and say, oh, right, I need to upload a buddy letter. So I'm going to say, take or select a photo, go down here. I want to do it with my camera. I'll come over here, provide access. I have a very important document that I'll take a photo of. Great, now I have my very important document, and I can add more photos. I can say what kind of document this is, maybe it's a buddy statement, and then I can upload the file. And again, you can imagine how much faster that is rather than having to make a photocopy and mail it or scan it and fax it or deliver it to a regional office in person. So much quicker, makes the whole process go faster. But I don't need to upload that very important document because that's not that's not going to be helpful for my claim. Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead. You had a question.
Yeah, Chris. So what you're saying is, because there was a time, and some veterans out there may know and remember, and maybe still going through this, but when you would fax a document or mail a document in for review to get it accepted, reviewed, and run through the processes. So what you're saying right now is a veteran using the mobile app can update their information by taking a picture of it and then uploading that information right into the mobile app.
Exactly. Sounds so easy, right?
Oh, wow.
Because it is.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for doing that. That will save veterans a lot of time, save veterans a lot of anxiety as you are going through the process, trying to enhance the information that you do have that's being evaluated. So that helps the veterans out there to get things done a lot faster than they used to be.
Yeah. And one of the things that we're working on is improving the notification process, right? So unfortunately today, veterans who have active claims, they come and they use the app a lot, right? They check the status of their claim daily, sometimes multiple times a day, looking to see if anything's changed, if anything's progressed, if any documents are needed. What we're working on now is adding more and better notification. So rather than you having to constantly check and being anxious about it, we'll let you know your claim has changed from initial review to gathering evidence. We are gathering, that could be a notification, or a notification could be, we're gathering evidence and we need a document from you. We need, whatever, a buddy statement, something like that. And so it would be much, much more calming and productive for the veteran to have VA tell them what the next step is and when to do it, rather than having to constantly go check. So that's the next frontier that we're trying to tackle there.
Are there any developments of note within the health side where a veteran can take actions on their medical, either claim or take care of their medical health care using the mobile app?
Sure, let's go and jump into that. So going back to the app here, we were looking at the benefits tab. I'm going to move over to the health tab. The health tab in the mobile app is essentially your patient portal in your pocket. Most of the capabilities here are nearly identical to those of My Healthy Vet, which is the patient portal that most users use. The information that's in here is the same as in My Healthy Vet. They're drawing it from the same place. So let me go through these as well, and I'll point out some of the things that are new. I'll just do this in order, starting from the top. Clicking on appointments. This is a way to manage appointments today. Mostly what you can do is see your upcoming and past appointments. Past appointments are useful if you need to go back and say, oh, I had an appointment with this provider on this topic, but I can't remember when it was, and I want to go back and look at some documentation or my visit summary from that. All right, so I can go back here and look at what those past appointments were. On my upcoming appointments, I can look at what I have in the future, and there's a wide variety of things here, right? So this is an appointment with a community care provider. Apparently that's today. Looks like I missed it. Here is, that's another community care provider. This was a canceled appointment. This is a phone consultation. Right, so here's a mental health. Right, here's an exam for a claim. Right, so I can see all of the upcoming appointments that I have. One of the things that I can see in here are also pending appointments, right? So this is if I submitted a request for appointment and I said when I want to have an appointment, but I haven't confirmed it yet. This is showing me that I have this request outstanding that hasn't been scheduled yet. And if I decide that I no longer want this appointment, I can go ahead and I can cancel that request for an appointment. So these are the current appointment management tools. There's a bunch more things that we're working on here. I'll mention now. I'm sure some people have those questions, but we're working on the ability to schedule and request additional appointment types directly from the app, be able to cancel appointments directly from the app, be able to check into those appointments directly from the app, and being able to request travel reimbursement for attending those appointments in the app. So those are some future features that we're going to look forward to for the year. Wow. Let me continue. I'll go to messages next, just because that's here. This is improved, I think, since the last time that we spoke, Dan, but still the fundamentals are there. This is the exact same secure messaging capabilities that exist in My Healthy Vet. So you can look at new messages that you have. Those are the ones with blue dots. You can look at old messages that you have. You can move these messages into a folder if you want to hold on to them. And of course, you can start a new message, and your distribution groups are available here. And you can say, whatever your topic is, right? So I want to send a note to my care team to request an appointment in the future, right? So I can send a message for that here, send my quick message. I can even upload files if I want to. So it's basic secure messaging, again, right here in my pocket. If I receive a new message, I'll receive a push notification for that. So I don't have to go and keep checking messages. This is one of the things that's really helpful about having the app, right? Pick up my phone, Face ID, send a quick message. If I get a response, I'll get a notification that I've gotten a response, and I can go and read the response. I don't need to go back to my house, up to my office, open my laptop, log into my laptop, log into my Healthy Vet, do two-factor authentication, check and see if I have a message, right? So much easier and so much faster. Do it from the grocery store, from the DMV, from the state fair, wherever I happen to be. So a little bit about messages. I'm not going to send that message. New thing, and this is really exciting, is prescription management. So this was added this year and is a tremendous capability. So a few things that I can do in here. First, I can look at all of the prescriptions that I have, ones that are active and live, ones that are expired and no longer, ones that are pending or refill, right? And so for any one of these prescriptions, I can go and I can look at the details, when it was filled, how many refills I have left, how many are in a refill, when it expires, where it came from, right? So all of the details about every single prescription. For any individual prescription, I can click on this and request a refill, or I can go back to the top of the list and I can click on the refill request here, and this shows me every prescription that I have available for a refill. And I say, yep, I need them all. Select all of those prescriptions and refill them all. I'm going to need them. So making it super, super easy, again, in your pocket to go ahead and manage your prescriptions and refill them all. And then, of course, if I have prescriptions that I've ordered, I can track them. So I can go to the tracking filter here, and I can look at all of these prescriptions, and this shows me ones that are active. And you see here I have this get prescription tracking. I'll tap on that. And this will show me my tracking number, shows me who the delivery provider is, and when it was shipped. And therefore, I can find out when I can expect it. So huge capabilities in the world of health, adding prescriptions. And with appointments, messages, and prescriptions, that really is the bulk of what a patient portal does for a veteran, allowing them to manage their healthcare directly from their pocket, wherever and wherever they happen to be and whenever they need it.
That's a lot you've done. And just getting back to the prescriptions a little bit more, veteran can track their prescription status, but say their prescription runs out. Can they handle getting either renewing their prescription or doing whatever the provider would recommend within the app? How would a veteran go about?
That is a great question, Dan. It's a very subtle semantic difference between renewing and refilling a prescription. So the capability that I just showed you is for refilling a prescription. That's in the case where you can see in this particular example, I have a prescription and this prescription has 2 refills left. However, some prescriptions do not have any refills left. You need to go back to your provider and get a new prescription. That's renewing the prescription. That capability you can't do in this part of the interface because this is just for refilling a prescription, but you can send a secure message. And so let me go back to health. I can go to secure message. I can start a new message, and this can be about medications. And I can send a note to my care team saying, this prescription has expired. I don't have any refills left. I need to renew it. And then your care team will get back to you with steps on what you need to do. Maybe they can just renew it straight there because they know that you're going to need it. Maybe they need to see you again in person or through a televisit on the phone or on video. So that's, again, from the app, you can start that process by sending a secure message to your provider.
Chris, you guys have done a lot, and we greatly appreciate what you have done, where you started, where you brought things now, and looking into the future, are there plans to integrate the VA Health and Benefits mobile app with other services and platforms to enhance the overall support and convenience for veterans?
Yeah, so there are a bunch of things that we have planned, and let me take that question in a few different parts. The big thing worth pointing out is everything that I was showing you there applies to most VA facilities. But I think as people know, VA is in the process of moving to a new underlying health record, an EHR, electronic health record, from a company called Oracle Health. And so these capabilities do not yet work with facilities that are using the Oracle Health electronic health record. And that is the big thing that we're going to be integrating with by the end of the year. So by the end of the year, most of the capabilities here should be available for both. It shouldn't matter which underlying health record your facility is using, whether it's VA's system called Vista or it's an Oracle Health system. It shouldn't matter. You should be able to see your appointments, refill your prescriptions, manage your messages on either one of those. That's one of the big things. A handful of other things worth mentioning. I talked about some of the improvements in appointments. A lot of great things happening there: scheduling, requesting, canceling appointments, checking into appointments, getting travel reimbursement for appointments. So those are the big things that are coming up. And then I also referred briefly to some notifications, being able to improve notifications so that veterans don't have to come ask VA what's next. We are telling you what's next. And that's largely in things like you have a payment that's coming, or your claim has changed status, or we need a document from you. So those are the kind of things that folks can look forward to.
And Chris, could you briefly discuss the security measures implemented within the VA Health and Benefits mobile app? It's because security is very important, maintaining that privacy and yet gaining access to the information. How are you able to do that, all that, and maintain veteran security?
That's a great question. So obviously, I was showing this app in demo mode, but there's a lot of personal information in there, right? There's personally identifiable information, your name and contact information, email address. There's a lot of health information, your prescriptions, your appointments. Handful of things that we do to protect that. First, logging in is done behind secure credentials. We recommend people use login.gov or ID.me. These are modern credentials that require verification to make sure that people are who they say they are, and two-factor authentication to make sure that they continue to be who they say they are. Because that's how we prevent other people from getting access to those to your account. And then the data itself, there's a thing called encryption at rest and encryption in transit, which means that everything that we collect is encrypted so that nobody can get access to, both on the phone when it's being sent from the phone to the backend system, and in those backend systems itself. And that is probably the number one priority for VA, particularly in the health arena, is that all data has to be secure and protected so that it can't be shared, certainly not en masse, to people who don't have authorization to access it.
Chris, you've done a lot. I've watched things from the very beginning. I saw where you were last year, see where you are now, and see where you're going. Thank you once again for what you've done. Thank you for your time. We greatly appreciate you sharing your information and your developments with us. We also want to thank the attendees who are out there on the line. We greatly appreciate you taking the time to learn more and more about the mobile app. Stay in contact with us and continue to ask questions and provide feedback, because VA uses ones and zeros to help our nation's heroes. Thank you so much for joining us. Have a great VA day.